Tim Henman, former British #1, former world #4. He's just hot-footed it up from centre court, where you've been doing the traditional BBC intro with Sue Barker. We're going to get on to your People's Sundays, because this man's contested the last two in Wimbledon history. But what's the atmosphere out there like today? Actually, perhaps not what we were expecting.
No, it was really, really quiet. It was almost if the crowd were a bit nervous. I heard a statistic that 90% of the people in the crowd had never been before.
Really? Wow.
And then also I heard that some of them were queuing from 3 o'clock this morning to make sure that they were in the front of the queue, because they would have had tickets. It was all done online, but they were pretty keen. So maybe they were just having a little snooze before the tennis started.
That's the interesting thing. What's been unique about this year is you couldn't queue to get tickets, as you have been able to do on the past when Middle Sunday's in play. You had to buy them online, but they weren't seated, were they? So you could get in there first come first served to choose your seat.
Yeah, that's right. So they did 22,000 tickets as such. There were 10,000 on centre court, 8,000 on court 1, and 4,000 for around the ground. So once you got access to the grounds, then you were, going to go to centre court with your ticket, and then you could sit anywhere. So about 9 o'clock, when they opened the gates and then the stadium, you just saw people, piling in to get the front row seats. So I'm sure it will be a good atmosphere. They'll warm up like the players.
A polite crowd right now. That might change when Serena comes out second match. She always revs up the crowd. Well, let's relive a bit of Wimbledon history, shall we, Tim? Let's take it back to 1997. First of all, look at the hair to kick us off.
Look at that baby face.
This was an epic.
Oh, there we go.
Lucy's looking nervous.
Yeah.
14-12 you took this to in the fifth.
14-12 in the fifth. I thought really with the People's Sunday, I had to give them their money's worth. Bit of some volley there. Didn't seem too much, but it was an unbelievable atmosphere. I remember when we walked on the court, there was a Mexican wave, and every shot that we hit in the warm-up was sort of greeted with a cheer from me and a boo for Paul Harhouse. And I remember also that year they had a big problem with the court, and the surface was pretty ordinary. And that I have one tennis picture at home. And it was that reaction after hitting a forehand winner down the line.
You don't look very happy.
Show your reaction. What happened?
I sort of put my arms in the air, and there's a good reaction with the crowd behind. And,
So 7 years later, you'd had a little bit of a haircut, and this is 2004.
2004, and again it was pretty lively. Playing Hisham Merazi, who I had a pretty good record against.
This one you managed to get done in 4.
Nice.
Ooh.
Hisham was such a talented guy, wasn't he? Tough to play.
He was, yeah. And then I think I had an extremely good win in the next round. I can't remember who I beat.
I can't remember too. No. It's not important. Let's not discuss that.
Well, what's amazing is really it was this match, Tim, that I think coined the term People's Sunday, because it obviously helps when you have a home player like you, a huge crowd favourite, playing on centre court, and everything that you've just said now, very similar to what you said back then, that the noise and atmosphere was just phenomenal and like nothing you'd experienced before. Could you liken it to any other stage in sport? Wembley Stadium or something, maybe?
Yeah, it's just... I mean, having never experienced some of those other stadiums, when I reflect on all the stadiums I've played around the world, this is unquestionably my favourite, but those 2 days were incredible atmosphere, and the circumstances. There's always a lot of chat, and I get asked, why don't we do it every year? Why don't we have this People's Sundays? And it's really for the court's point of view. It's grass is a natural surface. When the court isn't being used on a Sunday, it has to be watered massively, because otherwise if the court gets burnt, the grass will die. It's a little bit like golf greens, when they're in a tournament, that's only 4 days. They need to water the green, otherwise it dies. When you've got a tournament taking place over 2 weeks, if it doesn't really have that day, things can struggle. The difference is we've had a lot of breaks in the weather, so the number of hours that the show courts have been used is down. So that's why we can accommodate it. But certainly Neil Stubley, the head groundsman, wouldn't be keen to have a People's Sunday every year.
Okay. And nor would the local residents, which I believe is the original reason that there is a Middle Sunday in play here, because final Sunday is always used for the men's, and the local residents used to want their 1 day of rest at least. And nice to know that the condition of the courts won't be too much of a concern in the second week of this year's championships.